you know, either younger than us or, you know, passed and retired. So why not? You know, I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, you know, and why not, you know, challenge.
Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
Terence Crawford accepted Floyd Mayweather's fight challenge while speaking with Stephen A. Smith in a live chat. He said boxing is about pushing limits and never walking away from a real test. According to him, top fighters have a duty to face each other for the good of the sport. With steady confidence, Crawford made it clear he is ready to take on Mayweather and use this fight to prove himself and go beyond all expectations.
Man, because this is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure, for sure. All money ain't good money, so you gotta know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, you know, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy, you know.
Roy Jones Jr., the boxing icon who dominated several weight divisions, recently praised Crawford's talent. He highlighted Crawford's fight with Canelo Alvarez, noting how Crawford learned from the styles of Floyd Mayweather and Eris Landila, two fighters who had challenged Canelo differently. Jones said Crawford's real strength lies in watching, learning, and then using those lessons in his own unique way. He isn't just a talented fighter. He's a smart strategist. What impressed Jones most was that Crawford didn't simply copy anyone. He adapted techniques to match his style and thrive under pressure. Jones explained that this kind of versatility is rare and separates Crawford from fighters who stick to one approach and often fall short at the highest level.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
The idea of Crawford facing Floyd Mayweather, even in an exhibition, has stirred a lot of discussion. Some critics fear it could affect Crawford's legacy. They point out that after major wins like beating Errol Spence and outshining Canelo, this fight might look more like a money move than a real challenge. Their concern comes from Mayweather's recent exhibitions, which have focused on entertainment and big paydays rather than meaningful competition. Analysts argue that Crawford has achieved too much to risk that perception. Still, many believe his legacy is already secure, and a showdown with Mayweather would simply add another exciting chapter to his career.
As Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career, people like Eris Landila gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So you know if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there and take that blueprint and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, it's just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot then, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. You know, Bud got hit with some shots.
He did. He did.
He got hit with some single shots going out. You know, he's going out, and you know Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
He smiled about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that smile can be a lie, and sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
Comparisons between Mayweather and Crawford always spark debate. Mayweather's record features wins over some of boxing's biggest stars, but critics often question the timing. They argue Canelo was still young when he fought Mayweather, Pacquiao wasn't at his best in their 2015 matchup, and Floyd's refusal to give rematches, especially with Pacquiao, left fans with doubts. Crawford, on the other hand, has consistently defeated elite opponents while they were in their prime. This contrast keeps the discussion alive about whether Mayweather's perfect record was the result of unmatched skill or carefully chosen fights.
For Terence Crawford, it's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash out.
Tony Jeff, a well-known boxing analyst, believes Floyd Mayweather's biggest strength wasn't just his defense or speed, but his mindset. He explained that Floyd's unshakable confidence in defeating any opponent made him a real threat. Even in tough fights, his sharp boxing IQ and self-belief gave him the edge. Mayweather's skill in reading opponents, adjusting quickly, and staying composed under pressure set him apart from fighters who relied only on physical talent. Jeff stressed that this mental toughness, combined with technique, is what made Floyd nearly unbeatable and allowed him to retire undefeated.
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say their accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. There's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but the only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud in my opinion.
The boxing world is heating up over a possible fight between Terence Crawford and David Benavidez. Benavidez brings size, power, and relentless pressure, making him a serious challenge. Fans think this matchup could test Crawford like never before. Even without an official announcement, excitement and speculation keep growing. It shows how much fans crave real high-stakes fights that build legacies rather than money-focused exhibitions. Crawford versus Benavidez promises a clash of skill versus strength, precision versus aggression, a showdown boxing fans are eager to watch.
Strong mindset, they're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
Fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work harder. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
And if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter, but by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this guy is a piece of...
Comparing Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford is tough because both dominated their eras. Floyd's perfect record and unmatched defense made him a legend, while Crawford's success across multiple weight classes is equally impressive. The challenge in picking one over the other comes from the different times and circumstances they fought in. In the end, it might be impossible to say who's better, but together, they set the bar for greatness in boxing.
Not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on and defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majamov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
Greg Hackett's view on Crawford's win over Canelo highlights the fight's true impact. By calling Canelo the best in boxing, Hackett showed how dominant and respected Canelo had been for years. Crawford didn't just face him. He controlled the fight and broke him down, creating a major turning point in the sport. Hackett says Crawford is now the fighter everyone fears, sitting at the very top. This victory wasn't just another win, it reshaped boxing and crowned Crawford as the new king of the ring.
Oh my goodness, I said that was gonna happen. If Crawford was to win, we're gonna be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford is gonna be better. Now this is gonna be a debate for a long, long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time. While Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly off of skills, this is where things get really, really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey man, like I said, this is going to be a debate for a very long time. I can't wait to hear all the talk about it, but I'm curious on your thoughts. Who you think wins in the fight, Floyd or Terence Crawford? Let's talk about it, and follow me for more Boxing Talk.
Crawford's win over Canelo Alvarez changed everything and erased any doubts about his greatness. His earlier victory against Errol Spence had already silenced critics who questioned his level of competition, as Crawford controlled that fight from start to finish. But defeating Canelo, seen as almost unbeatable, firmly secured his place in boxing history. Experts now agree these victories rank Crawford among the all-time greats. His success across multiple weight classes proves just how dominant he truly is.
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you be the shark and then you be the wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend.
Chill, man.
But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, get a line of suits. Get a line of suits, get your money, man. Yeah, go ahead and get the easy money. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up?
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat. What's happening? He's paid the career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just whatever, doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that.
That wraps up today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.